What's up, you guys? It's IAmTheLionRider, and today we are going to be showcasing every single prop available in Prehistoric Kingdom, version Alpha 0.02 or something. I don't really know, but the alpha that dropped, obviously. And so we're just going to be going over every single prop and fence and stuff that's going to be in the game. This is actually being recorded technically during my live stream on the 19th when the alpha dropped, but we are basically just going to be going over all of the different things we have. So first off, we'll start off with fence types. So we have 12 fences in the alpha. So we have the metal fence, which you can see here, and the metal fence has a little bit of electric fencing and stuff on the top, chain link on the bottom, and it has a few different sizes. So you may have seen like an image like as PK released it, and these are the 3 different sizes. So you have this one, which is the smallest one is 6 meters tall, which is kind of crazy because it seems like it's a small fence. It's actually 6 meters tall though. So or actually, sorry, it's not 6 meters. I'm messing this up. So this isn't 6 meters. This is 2.5 meters. Then they go up to 4 meters and then 6 meters. That makes more sense. So this is the smallest. And then each of the fence types has this. So if we go in, so this is the wooden fence type. So here's the modern wooden fence. And again, you have the same 2.5, 4 meter, 6 meter, and each one has a different design. So I actually really like the wood texture on this one. This looks really good. And I like how you can, if you want, go in and instead of the electric fence, change it so you can add glass and stuff using the modular set. Next up, we have the concrete wall set, which is pretty good. This one, very standard for most zoos and stuff, and obviously very Jurassic Park inspired. So this looks really, really good. And so here we go. So that's that fence. Next up, we have the glass fencing. So here's the glass. So glass, same thing. I actually think this, I don't know about underwater viewings or anything, if that's probably, I don't think it'll be a thing. Maybe once we eventually, way down the line, get stuff like aquatic animals and marine life, we may get underwater viewing and stuff. But I actually, just off the top of, just looking at this, glass looks vaguely similar to Planet Zoo, so it might still have that kind of glaring issue that Planet Zoo has. But, obviously I really like the fence types. Not a lot, like I said, the alpha only has 300 props, so we're just going to kind of go through all of them. But there are all of your fence types. So next up, we have our path types, which I should just make a side note. The pathing in this game is phenomenal. The pathing in this game is amazing relative to Planet Zoo or JWE. It is amazing. I love the pathing system in this game. It's like half spline, half modular, like kind of like clicking and stuff. But look, I can actually combine stuff together and make plazas and stuff easily. So that's actually awesome. So next up, we have the brick path. That's kind of cool. And then this kind of, this is kind of a thing you see in a lot of zoos. I'm kind of actually surprised they went with it. But it's another type of brick that's kind of like a hexagon pattern. So that's kind of cool. So here are your path types. I think my personal favorite, I'd have to say, is this one, the kind of swirly one. What's it called? The brick pavement is what they consider it. But I like the little swirly pattern in it. So that's cool. I will shout out Andy in my chat right now. He just donated to me, so if he wants, he will be in the YouTube video that probably will go up tomorrow. So next up, we'll go over there's only a handful of animal enrichment items, I guess you could call them, and that is literally just bedding, which, did they change it to say, oh, they didn't do it yet. So it says straw bedding, and actually, wait, no, is that what Bold wanted? Because I remember there was a thing where they said they were gonna do straw or something, and then she was like, no, it's actually hay or thatch or so. I forget what, but they said they were gonna change the name. So I think it might be straw that, might be the one that, was good. So I am glad they listened to that stuff. Similarly, we have the feeders. So we have a herbivore and a carnivore feeder. The carnivore one is kind of sick looking, actually. I like all the like meat and like they did a lot of detail with the normal map and stuff to get it to look like ground beef and stuff. And like, look at that. That like is like eerily realistic steak. Like that's kind of like really crazy looking. So that's crazy. And they have like a rib cage and stuff. And you have some actual plants and stuff. You have some like heads of lettuce and trees and branches and stuff of that nature. You have a couple of little carrots. So I really think they did a lot of really good details with the two feeders types in the game. We'll save park infrastructure for last because those are really big pieces. And same with guest facilities. So we need to go over the actual modular sets. So unlike Planet Zoo that has a set for wood, a set for concrete and plaster and etc., in Prehistoric Kingdom they instead opted for each modular set is just one type of piece, and I don't really need to go over all the pieces directly. Extremely similar to the pieces you'll find in other simulation games, be it Planet Zoo or The Sims or anything. Basically, you have your building, your half building, your window, your big window, your archway, etc., your rounded pieces. And these are all cool. Actually, okay, this little side note though. This is a thing I was hoping they would add. So they have this little piece. So what do they call it? I'm not even sure. I'm trying to see if they have a name for it. Maybe not. But oh yeah, the round inside floor. So in Planet Zoo, they have rounded roof bits for stuff like this. So you can place down this, but you couldn't get the little like connection bit. But now they actually have that. So you can actually go in and add that little connection area if you want. So that's awesome. So I'm glad they included this, as well as the rounded pieces here. That's awesome. So that's going to be really, really nice for people who like modular building sets. And similarly, they have a nice UI. So instead of, like I said, cluttering the UI with a bunch of sets, instead you just select the texture you want. So in this case, this is another type of wood, which looks pretty good to me. I actually like this wood. You also have the option of a stone wall. So this is kind of like a cobblestone. It's a little bit more rough, almost like a fake concrete cobblestone. Here you have your standard concrete, and then over here you have like a metal tile. This is sort of like a corrugated metal, which is kind of nice. And then the last one you have is glass, and like I said, looks really good. And so, well, you don't have a lot of texture options and stuff with the alpha. I definitely look to the future, because if this is what we have like in a very early version of the alpha, we're going to have a lot of really, really good looking sets in the future. And then they also talk about in the future we'll have stuff like FlexiColor. So that's going to make it really, really awesome. So we'll go through all the other props. So our roof types. So a lot of roof options and stuff. I'm not going to go through all of them. They're just, but like I said, you have stuff like the rounded, little sections and trims, which is awesome. So here are the 4 roof textures. So you have kind of like basically 4 types of metal, and then glass, or 3 types of metal, and then like or I guess, is this, oh, did they not have a glass roof? I could have sworn they did. Maybe not. I guess the textures are very, very similar to each other. So it just wasn't selecting for me for some reason. But here we have the actual final glass option. So that looks pretty good. And there you go. So those are your options for roofs and wood, or and walls. So we have a lot of decoration options for stuff like buildings. So you have, let's actually clear out a little bit of an area so that you can actually see these a little bit. So if we just go in here, we'll just clear a big old area with sand so it gets rid of all of the grass and stuff so that we can see stuff a bit clearer. So if we go into the modular set. So here's a bunch of, we have a bunch of different fence types. So that's awesome. I actually really like this fence. This is really cool. So these are all for the modular kind of, build your own fences. These are awning options that you have for your modular buildings. They definitely went all out with the decorations for the few buildings that we do have. You have a lot of door options, so that's awesome. You have a lot of door options, actually. And so we'll place all of these down. Oh, that's a different one. You have that option, and then this. Ooh, that's an interesting one. It's like glass on one side, then you have the actual door. That's kind of interesting. And so, yeah, that's really cool. So the glass awning looks like it's actually not glass, so it's not see-through like some of the other pieces. But this one is actually see-through, so that's kind of cool. And then the windows and stuff aren't actually, or actually that's cool. So they have a transparent window option, just the glass option, and then a opaque version of glass, kind of if you wanted like a shell of a building but didn't want people to actually look inside. So that's really cool. The doors do not work, unfortunately, so they just kind of, to my knowledge, the guests don't actually walk into any buildings as of right now. So right now the doors are just strictly cosmetic. And then you have a lot of window option shapes. So like I said, each of these comes with its own version of a opaque version, a see-through version, and a totally see-through version. And you have a lot of shape options, like I said, so this is awesome. So you definitely can go crazy with your windows. And then, not to mention, the game has scaling, so you can definitely go crazy with your window customization. So definitely really, really cool there. Next up, we have some of the basic building sets. So you have kind of like a wood slate wall. This would actually be really, really useful for Roger Williams in Planet Zoo. Similarly, we have this here. You have the metal beams, which I know everyone likes to kind of highlight the scalability of, because they are, scalable objects. But you have a lot of little like doodads and stuff with the metal, and I really like this little set. It can be really good for adding little beams and extra detailing. Like this is basically the equivalent of your like gutter piece set in Planet Zoo, which is going to be awesome. So this is probably my next favorite section, and that is the wooden log types. So you have a lot of wooden log beams, and like I said, each of these can be stretched and actually, transformed to be as tall or as fat or as wide as you want within a limitation. So let me just demonstrate that. So each item in the game does have its limits, so you can't just stretch them indefinitely. So as an example, this is as far as this log specifically can stretch. Similarly, it can only go down so short and so tall. So right here, this is the shortest it can get. So take that into consideration. Everything has its limitations, though, like I said, you can definitely, there's a lot of customization that you can get away with the scaling. Like, I don't know anyone who's going to want a log this big, but you can definitely do that. So that's totally an option. So finally, we have the last wood, which it's trying to use the same scale that I had in the last thing. But here's the last wood. It's basically a standard oak wood texture, which is an awesome log set. So I really like this one. So you have kind of like a spruce wood, a modern wood, and an oak wood. And that's kind of nice. Props, not too many props, but you do have a lot of ropes. So you basically have like a kind of like a modular rope set going on. So you have a few rope options, and you can kind of connect them, and they each have a different length and stuff. You have a bunch of straight options, and then you have kind of like some connection bits that you can kind of like rope, together. And then you obviously scale it and stuff to your liking. So that's going to be awesome. And then you have a little rope decoration where you can place that on the ground, and then kind of a loopy rope, which is kind of nice. That can be kind of cool if you wanted to make a custom fence out of that. Next up, I don't want to place down all of these, but needless to say, you have basically the Prehistoric Kingdom font as an option. So let's just I can literally just, I'll write my name. There we go. Nick. We need the K. There we go. Nick. That's how you spell my name. Nick. And then we'll add a little dinosaur, because I think the dinosaur is nice. This looks like a thing like you would have on like, actually that could be a thing with the scaling. You take a design that you make like this, and then you can turn it into like little magnets, so you can make a little gift shop with like those like little things like keychains with people's names on them. That could be really cool, actually. Now, unfortunately, like I said, no color changing right now, so you're just stuck with white, unfortunately. But eventually, when we get flexi color, that'll be awesome, that you'll be able to change the names of colors and stuff. So next up, so plants. So plants in this game work a bit differently than you might think. So I have to kind of explain this by showing it in the terraforming thing. So here you have a bunch of different terraforming options. Now, this is very similar if anyone has played Zoo Tycoon 2 or even JWE to an extent, but it's much closer to Zoo Tycoon. So you basically select the plants you want from a given biome. So in this case, I have tropical. And then you have a density and a size, and then you place it down like a brush, and it'll paint down terrain, or I guess foliage in this case. Now, the issue is, if you use that terrain system, you can get foliage, down really quickly. But these trees are not modular, so you cannot edit these, their placement, their rotation, etc. In order to do that, you would need to use modular plants. So that's a word of warning. So the plants in here, in your, like, I guess the modular pieces set, these are the ones that you're able to mess with and scale and stuff. So just keep that in mind, that there are technically two different types of plants, even if the actual trees and stuff are the same model. So take that into consideration. So now, we also have Mulch, which I really like the Mulch options. They made a dynamic texture, so this is a world space texture, so no matter how much you stretch this, it's not going to deform the texture, so that's awesome. So these are going to be the ones that are really cool. Like, I can just literally stretch this, and as you can see, the texture isn't deforming or stretching, unlike some of the wooden options and stuff. So the Mulch, you have a whole bunch of options for shapes. They all seamlessly kind of go together, so that's awesome. So you can definitely get some really cool planters, and then just kind of place them around and stuff. So that's awesome. So next up, we have a couple of little flowers. I do like the little flower types. They add a little bit of color to your parks. They're very, very similar to some of the options available in Planet Zoo, but they definitely look really nice, and I like the little colors and stuff. They add a little bit of variety to your game. So next up, we have the shrubbery, which this is a tab that's kind of interesting because games like Planet Zoo and stuff kind of neglected shrubbery until like a much later update. But these are kind of your like middle of the road underbrush. So you have a bunch of different options for kind of underbrush. So these are smaller plants that look really good. Ooh, I love the bamboo. The bamboo looks really, really good, actually. I might use that. I think it, what's the Chinese one that we're gonna get? There's like one Chinese dinosaur. I'm drawing a blank on which one it is right now. But that'll look really good in that type of exhibit. We have your standard kind of like arrowwood plants, bushes that you'll see in a lot of parks and stuff. We have a couple of different types of kind of cooler underbrush. So what's this one? This is the Sabal Palmetto, so that's kind of cool. A bunch of grass types, which is awesome. Oh, I skipped to, I guess, a favorites tab. That's kind of cool. But you have a bunch of different underbrush types, and I love it. It'd be too much to go over every single name and stuff, but needless to say, you'll have some really, really good foliage options. I love every plant in this game. They look really good, even scaled up to a massive size. So definitely, like, take that into consideration. If you want like a big jungle or something, the fact that you can scale them is awesome. It's definitely really, really cool looking. So, and you can make them small too, so that's the plus. So now we get into the bigger ones, which are trees. So we have a few different basic biomes in this set. So we have essentially, I forget what biome they consider this one. It's like a boreal, but not really. So we have the tropical, the wetlands, the shrubland, and the temperate. So I guess they would consider this from the temperate set. So the temperate, we have a couple of types of Scots pines, so that's kind of cool. And you can scale them and shrink them and stuff to your nature. Next up, we have elm trees, which is awesome, because I do really like elm trees. They are really good. So as an example, like this one, you know, oh, it's really short. That'd be, you know, really bad in most games, but no, we can just, wow, look. Now it's scaled normally, and now it's a tall elm tree. That's nice, isn't it? Now, I will say this is a kind of issue you'll see a little bit, is obviously this is the reason why scaling isn't always perfect. It'll kind of deform it a little bit, and if I kept going, it'll like really stretch it to kind of an absurd level where, you know, maybe that's something you're going for, but as you can see, some of the branches and stuff look really janky. So definitely take that into consideration before you just spam everything and try to scale it. But, you know, regardless, we have our birch trees. So I really like birch trees. And we have a little seasonal variant, which is yellow. Now we're getting into the kind of like tropical equivalent. So we have the palmetto. So these are the bigger palmetto plants. And then foxtail palm, classic, you know, we need some palm trees in the game. Mangrove, so this is going to be for the wetland set, which is kind of cool. And I believe if I try to drag it up a little bit, I think, yeah, it does have the kind of underside, so you can make some nice aquatic habitats like that. And so now we can go to the swamp beech tree and the cypress tree. There we go. The kapok tree, which kapok tree looks really good. You can definitely grow and shrink it at will. What is this? It looks like an acacia tree, but they call it a samania. And then we have coconut palms, which again, everyone loves coconut palms. So definitely my favorite. So last up, we have the rocks, which the rocks are definitely the big takeaway from this game. The rocks in this game are amazing looking. So you have a lot of different cool rock shapes. They're all just abstract rocks, but they all work extremely well together. And we have a bunch of different rock textures. So you can actually switch them, basically very similar to the other modular wall pieces. You can change the color of the rocks this way, and that way you get a bunch of variety with your textures. So look at that. You get a whole color spectrum, each for a different biome and stuff. They look really good. Then we have basically dead trees. I don't know why dead trees are considered in the same category as rocks, but you definitely have a bunch of options for a few types of logs and a couple of like little like dead trees and stuff. And a lot of branches actually. So if you wanted underbrush and stuff, this game is for you because there's a lot of branch options, I'm noticing. Like, arguably, there's as many dead branches as there are living trees. Though, it actually seems like it might be because they're trying to create, like, a modular tree set. So you could actually place down trees to build your own tree branches, which is really, really cool. So that basically takes us through all the modular sets. So the last thing I just wanted to highlight is there are entire buildings very similar to JWE that are basically fully, you know, they're full buildings. So you can't edit these really, other than in the future we'll eventually be able to style them to different colors. But this is the nursery, which it's a very large building. I'm not going to lie. It is absolutely gigantic. It is ridiculously large. And similarly, you have the industrial power plant, the generator, and the solar panel. And these are also kind of, you need them to power anything in the actual thing. So I love this building, but it's just so massive. It's just ridiculously large. And then now if we go to guest facilities, these are some other really nice things. So these are just basically pre-made little things that you can plop down to get an idea of what it would be like to have a sort of functional park, essentially. Now, eventually you might be able to make modular versions of these. I'm not quite sure. But for now, you just basically place down these and then connect them up. And then this is the entrance to your park. And then this is where people would spawn out of. But essentially, that pretty much is it. We have a couple of small guest objects I can highlight. So we have some benches that I can quickly show off. And I do like this bench. This is a cool little bench. And a couple of trash cans. And what I do like is you can't place these without a path. So that's awesome. So they work just like any other modular piece. But that pretty much summarizes everything. So I hope you guys were cool with watching, and that shared a little bit of everything that is in the PK Alpha prop-wise. So thank you, and I will see you next time.